So let's talk about Social Security and specifically what are President-elect Donald Trump's plans for Social Security moving forward. Well, we're starting to get a little bit more insight as to what the plan is, not just for Social Security, but for his entire administration. This includes border security, this includes taxes, this includes the issues across in the Middle East and over in Ukraine and in Russia and so on. But we're starting to get a clearer picture. Today, I want to break this down, what this means, but at the end of this video, I want to explain why there's a real threat to Social Security, and it has nothing to do with the Trump administration or Donald Trump. It actually has more to do with artificial intelligence, and now we are hearing lawmakers discuss this and what should they do to lead up to this transition point. So we're going to get to all this in just a moment, but all I ask is one thing. It takes 2 seconds. Go ahead, hit that like button if you enjoyed these daily updates, and now let's begin. So what in the world is going on for Social Security? For Social Security beneficiaries that have been paying in for decades, finally they're at that point, they can get their money, but now there's a risk, potential cuts. Now, I want to go over some things. But first, this is an article. It's from the Committee for a Responsible Federal Budget. It says, what would the Trump campaign plans mean for Social Security? Now, we're not going to get into this entire article. Okay? We're not going to do that. Because right now, there are plans that Donald Trump has had. He wants to eliminate taxes on tips, eliminate taxes on Social Security benefits, and he wants to eliminate taxes on overtime income. Now, all that is great, puts more money into your pocket. Here's the issue. It would actually create an even greater insolvency problem for Social Security moving forward. But again, I bring this up because Social Security on tips. Who gets tips? Servers, okay, house cleaners, okay, people in the service industry normally get tips. Okay, you know who you give a tip to? Somebody that does your nails, right? You go into a manicurist or a nail technician, or I don't know what the proper term is, but you go in and they do your nails, right? They push back your cuticles and they do your nice massage, whatever it is. I don't do that, but you probably realize that. Here's the issue. You can go to a booth in the airport over in Las Vegas. You can put your hands into this machine. You pick your color, you pick whatever you want, you put your hands in, and it does your nails for you. This is AI. Okay? This is technology. This is one of the reasons why experts are concerned with Social Security moving forward. Now, I'm going to address that in a moment, but first, let's get to some of these plans. Now, I had a long discussion. It's a good friend of mine. And we were discussing Social Security. Well, here's Donald Trump's plan for Social Security. First, the first thing that has to happen is the plans for Social Security. Social Security cannot be addressed first. Okay? It has to be done in the proper order. If it's not done in the proper order, we will not see increases to Social Security. We will likely see cuts. And this doesn't matter if it's the Trump administration or the next administration, it's going to happen. The next thing is we have to deal with taxes at the proper time. We got to deal with border security at the proper time. We have to deal with the amount of additional spending that the government is doing at the proper time. If we do not deal with these things in the right order and at the proper time, which experts say that the time has already passed, but we have to deal with it now. If we don't do this correctly, everything falls apart. So, how is Donald Trump going to deal with Social Security, and what is his plan? Well, first, he's going to deal with the border. That's the number one thing. Once he deals with the border, then he can tackle the complicated task of extending the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, which will keep taxes a little bit lower, and potentially he is going to expand on that and drop the federal income tax brackets a little bit more, right? That would be great. Then he's going to try to increase the amount of tax deductions and breaks that businesses could get, which means they would hire more people come into work. That means they pay more in Social Security tax revenue. That's a good thing. So All that has to happen, but again, the things that they are doing has to be done in the right order at the right time. That's step number one. So, while all this is happening, and this is going to happen, you're going to see this up front, right? We're going to be it's going to be very transparent as to what is happening as far as border security, as far as tax cuts, the Jobs Act, additional breaks for businesses, and for maybe lower or middle income households. That's all going to be right up front. We're going to see it. The media is going to cover that. Then on the back end, something that we likely will not see, the Department of Government Efficiency is going to be working behind the scenes to figure out how can we save money, which programs can be eliminated or reduced. And depending on how their findings come back, then Congress will be able to make decisions as to how much could we provide for lower income households, middle income households, okay, the upper class businesses. What could we do to put more money back in their pocket so they can continue to spend, right? That's the whole goal. Build the economy. Okay. When all this is done, then they can tackle Social Security, because then they have ideas, they have money, they have savings that they've secured over the past handful of months, right? All this stuff is going to happen. But again, if one thing falls apart, this whole thing could break down. Now, I bring this to attention because one of two things has to happen for Social Security. As of right now, every single Social Security beneficiary would receive a 23% cut to their benefits coming in 2034. So one of two things must happen according to reports. What we know is that there either needs to be a 24% reduction in expenses, which means your benefits could be reduced, or there has to be a 35% increase in revenue. That's the big one. A 35% increase in revenue. Now, I want to show you something. Look at this right here. This is an article from The Hill just yesterday. It says, House Republican, hard decisions needed on Social Security, Medicaid, and Medicare. Now, who is this Republican that's making this statement? Well, it's actually Representative Rich McCormick. He said on Tuesday that lawmakers will ultimately face tough decisions on spending in next year's unified GOP government, suggesting cuts may be coming to social welfare programs. Keep in mind that they're according to experts, and these are not experts that are siding with Republicans or Democrats. Okay, they are kind of in the middle. All right, they don't have an opinion. Well, they say that we need to have a cut somewhere, and we also need to have an increase in revenue somewhere else. There can't just be a cut or an increase. Okay, there has to be a mix of the two. That's what we need. Now, I want to read you his statement. He says, we're going to have some hard decisions. We got to bring the Democrats in to talk about Social Security, Medicaid, and Medicare. There's hundreds of billions of dollars to be saved, and we know how to do it. We just have to have the stomach to actually take those challenges on. Okay. What you need to understand is that right now, okay, there are millions of people that collect Social Security benefits every single month. Okay? There's millions of people that collect Medicare, or that use Medicare and Medicaid, okay, that absolutely need it. Here's the issue. We cannot make cuts, okay? Look at this. It says, when you talk about cutting the budget, I'm all about that. And quite frankly, we need to. Here's the thing. Donald Trump has said no cuts to Social Security, no cuts to Medicare, no cuts to Medicaid. Okay, no cuts. Well, if we don't have cuts, that means that we need to increase the revenue that goes into those programs. Well, how do we do that? Well, here's the big problem. I was talking to another person the other day. They say the major problem we're facing regarding Social Security funding and taxes is that we are having technological advances with AI that are going to wipe out millions of jobs. I've talked to a handful of friends of mine and people that acquaintances, and asked them how we've seen or how they've seen technology really advance in their field. One person, he's a shoe salesman. Well, not a shoe salesman. He owns his own kind of shoe shop or makes his own shoes. Not like Nike or some, but smaller dress shoes. Anyway, he was saying that he actually got rid of his marketing firm because now he uses AI to put together all his ad copy, to put together his pictures, his pamphlets, everything like that. Right? He does all that, and it's all automated for him. And he's seen a lot of success. So he's got rid of his whole marketing team because he doesn't need them anymore because of AI. Okay, great. But then, when I was talking to this other friend of mine, he was saying that there's not a lot of years left where we can tax the American people and force them to pay into Social Security based off of their income from their job. Because now a lot of people are going towards things like working for themselves, which, again, you're still paying the same amount. Okay, but here's the difference. The people that are successful are making much more than $168,000 that the Social Security cap is. So more people are going to be successful making more money, which means that anything over the Social Security tax cap, that threshold, they don't pay anything into it. Okay? So again, that's interesting. He goes on to say, at some point, AI will take over millions of jobs and the deficit for Social Security will be much greater. So, making changes now is not only seen as needed, but almost an immediate necessity. Now, keep in mind that this friend of mine, he's an aide to a representative. Okay? That's all I'm going to say about him. But just understand right now, there are discussions of how can we fix Social Security today. According to reports, according to some confidential statements made to me, that right now the Republican Party is looking at ways to make small changes to Social Security. Small ones. So they want to increase their revenue to Social Security, but as to where they get that money, that's what's kind of being closely guarded. So as soon as we get more information on that, I promise I will bring you that update as soon as possible. But I want to leave you with one last thing. Right now, the Trump administration has big plans. Their big plans are dealing with the border situation first. That's first and foremost. Before anything else, they're going to deal with the border situation. Now, could Donald Trump come out and sign some executive orders on other things? Yes, absolutely. He's likely going to do that on day one. But on day one, the priority is the border. The second thing is the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act. The third thing, okay, is going to be everything else. So first, the border. Second, the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act. And then everything else, and Social Security is included into that big bucket of policies. So we're going to see what happens moving forward. The only thing I can tell you right now is that, yes, lawmakers are discussing potential changes, possible cuts, additional taxes, less taxes, artificial intelligence, and everything else in between. So they got their hands full, but the good news is at least some are discussing Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid at this time. So as we get more information on this, I promise I'll bring you all the latest news and updates, but that's what we know as of today. So again, thank you guys for watching. Consider subscribing, and I'll see you guys on the next one.